Hello, everyone. Oh, I need to charge my laptop a little. I should be fine. Okay. So I'm just going to give us a minute before um, I start because, yeah, we're supposed to go live yesterday, but that didn't work out. So we just decided to go live today. I'm not sure if we uploaded the walls. I don't know if people know, but yeah. I'm waiting for Ngozi to join. I don't know where she is. I don't know. I was just on the phone with her. She's late to everything. Sorry, but as soon as she joins, we are going to start the live. Hello. Ngozi, you ready? I'm waiting on you. Ngozi, I don't hear you. Are you talking? Oh, I have to add. Oh, I didn't realize I had to add you.
Oh, okay.
I was there
Hi,
just.
everyone. You couldn't see me this whole time?
I could see you, but I didn't realize I had to add you. It's not that many people on yet. I forgot. I don't think we posted it on the community tab today. I totally forgot. But we can still start, and it's gonna be a replay. We're just gonna probably cut out the beginning, so it won't take too long to start. Like edit it before we put it up because the beginning is gonna be too empty.
Okay.
Okay, so people are gonna
Let me
eventually
see if I can share the link um, from StreamYard. Hi, everyone.
share it from YouTube. Just copy and paste the live from YouTube if you want to share the link. All right, don't forget to press the like button, everyone. Show us some love. But I'm gonna start while Ngozi's doing whatever she's doing because I just want to get to the point. Okay, so the topic for today, the big question is marriage for white people. Okay, so oh, I don't know where I put it in this book. So this is a book I read. It was recommended by a family friend, and it honestly is like one of the best books I've read. I don't read a lot of books these days. I just listen to audiobooks because I can't like focus. This book took me like 2 months to read. I was on and off, but this was a really good read, and it really just touches a lot of the points that you hear on the internet when I have I like conversations with my friends, with my family members, when we just see this trend of so many successful Black college educated women struggling in the dating marketplace, struggling to get married, you know? So you just wonder, like, there has to be a reason for this. This is just not a coincidence. This is just not by happenstance. Okay. Let's be clear, according to this book as well. This is an issue that's affecting both Black men and women. It's not just a woman issue, but it affects women more. This is also an issue that's affecting just modern women in general. Women in general, huh?
It's not just a Black.
Yes, it's not just a Black thing. Okay, women in general are getting married less. However, the difference is the greatest for Black women than any other race. Okay, so it's not necessarily just a Black issue, it's just the fact that the most unmarried group of people in our nation is Black women. 7 out of every 10 Black women are unmarried. About 3 out of 10 will never get married. It has become the new normal. However, in the middle of the 12th century, and these are all statistics from this book, so that's why I really like it too, because it backed it up with facts, just not, just assumptions and opinions.
Right.
Middle of the 12th century, 9 out of 10 Black women were married. Now, Black women are half as likely to be married as their 1950 counterparts. Like I said, also, there's a decline in Black married men. Okay. Also, interestingly enough, research done by sociologist Averill Clark says that college educated Black women are more likely than any other group to be celibate. So this, and I found this to be really funny because it is something I hear a lot too. Like a lot of women, like, oh, the whole celibacy thing became kind of like a trend, as I was like in my college years.
Celibacy, or what's the other term people use? Celibacy, or there's a difference between celibate and abstinent, correct?
I don't think so.
There is. We won't get into that right now, but there is a difference.
Okay. So so ultimately the question is marriage for white people? Okay. So the book, I just want to go over like some chapters. We're going to make it interesting, entertaining. I'm not going to just read out of the book because that'll be really, really, really boring. But the way they got the book's title, apparently, is that they went to a school, they were interviewing, because he did a lot of interviews. Of course, most of the interviews, he was interviewing women versus men, because it seems like women are the ones that care more about marriage and children than men. That's just the truth overall. Like, women are the ones that, it's biologically, I think that's just how it was made. We're wired. Okay, so one of the boys says, so an image of the African American decline comes from a journalist's account of her visit to a class of Black sixth grader students in Washington, D.C. When one of the boys says he wants to be a good father, she offers to invite some married couples to speak to the class about child rearing. The boy objects, "Oh no, we're not interested in the part about marriage, only about how to be good fathers." The author writes, and that's when the other boy chimed in, speaking as if the words left a nasty taste in his mouth. "Marriage is for white people." That's what the sixth grader told. That's where he got the title, "Is Marriage for White People."
Nice.
So it was created by a sixth grader, said this on his mouth, that he was only interested in the skills of fathering. He wasn't interested about marriage because, in his opinion, marriage is for white people. Obviously, that's not true, and it's just kind of shocking that would come from a sixth grader's mouth. So
I'm assuming this was an African American sixth grader.
Yeah, they were in DC, so it was a Black neighborhood. So the book also talks about like some explanations and like, the reality that some people are okay, like some women are okay. They have examples of a woman who's okay being the auntie, just focusing on her career, having her free time, helping her friends with the kids, helping her family members out. Like, she's literally okay. Like, she doesn't feel like she's
that support.
Yeah, but obviously she's not the typical, like most women want it. Like, they're not her, but she was just an example of a woman who actually was okay with her situation. She was okay with the fact that she was a partner. She was okay with the fact that she was doing well in her career, and a lot of men may feel like that as well, versus most women are like, yeah, I want it, but like, I don't want to do it out of wedlock. That's another big issue to a lot of college educated Black women, is that they want to settle down, they want to get married, they want to have children, but they want to do it the right way, quote unquote. So if they can't do it the right way, they're not going to do it.
The right way.
Yeah, the right way. I'm saying quote unquote, like they want to be married first before they have a child. So if they have not found anyone, they're not going to have children. You know, so it's just interesting. I don't know, guys. What do you think?
To be transparent, I haven't read the book, but it's something that I want to read, and it just seems very interesting. I'm pretty sure that I will enjoy it. But I think it's interesting how, from my understanding, it was written by an African American male, correct?
Yeah.
So a lot of times when you hear like, I would just assume this type of book will be written by like a Black woman. So I think it's interesting having that like that male perspective looking at the issue, because I think that as women, naturally we're gonna have some type of bias, even if the research says certain things, and even if it's like the numbers are showing this and that, we're naturally just gonna have a bias for why things are the way they are. So I honestly think that it being a male author, a man writing it, I think that definitely brings a whole nother perspective to it.
Okay. And it just talks about like quoting a woman who said, "Oh, how do you and your friends cope?" She said, "We focus on our careers, our friends, go back to school, whatever." She says, "We fill our lives with other things." And me and my cousin group always talk about this, that like we don't want to be those women that like ignore some of the important things that like kind of have a time frame to do it and focus on other things as fillers.
Like distractions.
Like a
Positive,
distraction, a
distractions are always negative.
right. Everything could be a distraction. Like you go through a heartbreak and now you just start going to the gym 4 hours a day, right? It's good that you
distraction.
yeah, it's a good distraction, but you still are running away from something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're still trying to cope with something, but you don't want to come directly to it. You know, you're still dealing with like I don't know how to explain it. You're still trying to kind of cover something with something else. It doesn't mean that it's a bad thing, but at the same time, you have to get to the root of why you're not getting what you want. What you're doing, you know, the channel, we're really big on accountability, right? We do come for men, we come for women, we come for everyone because no one is perfect. And I just think that the rhetoric that's going around now is we live in an extreme society. You have the far left, like the passport bros. Then you have the far right, then you have the radical feminists, you know, who be like, I don't need no man. Oh, these men, I just use them, abuse them, throw them away. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like, where is hair? Where is the middle? Like, where are
I think honestly,
you think they just get the most attention?
yes. I don't think that, to be honest, at my age and from what I've seen, I don't believe that necessarily those extremes are the majority. I think that they just get a lot of more traction. So people focus on the extremes more. Not to say that I don't believe most people are in the extremes. Most people are average. They think average. They're very realistic. They live in the real world. They see day to day. They know what's out there. They know what we're going through. They know, like, you know, like they're very like, yeah, like this is what it is. But those extreme voices are either entertaining, they could be funny, they could be, you know, really like polarizing. So I think that because of that, they get way more, you know, way more attention.
That's true. All right. So now we're going to get to I think so the book is too much. I can't talk about the main points, but I think the most interesting chapters to me, number one, the man shortage, which talks about a topic that, you know, people online were talking about, and a lot of women, sometimes it can be uncomfortable. It can kind of be triggering, like, oh, what's it called? Like, oh, you're telling me that I can't get what I want. And it's not like someone's telling you that you can't get what you want. We're just putting on numbers of the reality, right?
Like I mentioned in our last video, if you haven't watched that video, I'll pin that, our video about the bus driver, Ebony K. Williams, that, like, you know, at the end of the day, none of us are God, right? So when people say what they want or what they don't want, I don't think it's opportunity necessarily to shame people or make them feel like they're crazy, or to tell them that like they're going to be single forever. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's like a common response a lot of people have. Yeah, you could say it's not likely. You know, you could say it may be difficult, but at the end of the day, you know, we're not God, so we can't really tell someone that they can't get something. Just want to throw that in.
Right. So the man shortage. There are three major contributors to the man shortage. First, Black men's incarceration constricts the market for poor and working class Black women. Second, interracial marriage depletes the pool of men for middle class, college educated Black women. And then third, the economic prospects for many men have worsened while those for women have improved. This economic repositioning is most apparent among African Americans, but it extends throughout our society.
You said incarceration, then you said the larger middle class women.
Incarceration, interracial marriage, and the economic prospects for many men have worsened while those for women have improved. So those are the three main issues this book talks about related to the man shortage. Incarceration, I think, is very straightforward. Most of us know what that means. We know that in this country, we have a high proportion of Black men as far as our percentage in jail compared to other races, right? So obviously that takes away from the dating pool. Interracial marriage, interesting enough, we all know most Black men and Black women marry each other. That's a fact. But Black men tend to, not tend, they marry out more than Black women do.
Yes, they still majority over what 85, about 85% marry Black women.
Yeah, but the Black men are more open than Black women. And the book actually spends a lot of time probably talking about the issues with why a lot of Black women don't want to date interracially, or why they avoid dating interracially. And it's so crazy. I can relate to a lot of them. Okay, the number one is that a lot of them feel as if they have loyalty to Black men, like they have to be with a Black man. Another reason is they feel like they won't ever really be accepted fully from the white man's family. Another reason, they want to have Black babies. They don't want to have biracial children that end up having identity issues. Another reason is just that their social spaces, they live segregated lives. They're not meeting these people. It's not that they're against it. It's not like maybe that they don't want to, but like they're not around people who are not Black for the most part. So they're not even in an environment where those people would even come and approach them. Like there's just so many factors. Like, wow, this makes a lot, this makes a lot of sense. A lot of them just feel also too, it talks about why like a lot of men may be more open to doing it, but even back to slavery, because a lot of Black women still feel as if, that whole master theory, they feel as if being with a white man is like being with a slave master, like being with someone who took advantage of your people, who like raped your generation, raped women in your generation. Why would you want to be with? Versus men never had access. We've talked about this before, how Black men never had access to white women, So now sometimes that may even some people believe that makes them want them even more, because there was a point where they were hung.
They want them more, but they're given the opportunity now to explore that option that they weren't able to explore before.
It's like for some people, they think it's a fetish. That's the truth. Some people think the same way. Some people think white men liking Black women is a fetish. Okay. It's not always real. That's another issue. A lot of Black women say, they're like, is it really real? Like, do they really, do they really like me, or they just want to try what it feels like to be with a Black woman? Do they just want to experiment? Do they just want to test and see? So that's another point I can relate to. A lot of them, they're like, a lot of women, like they don't want to have to explain race, because like even some married people he interviewed is like, even now they have arguments, and the man that's white doesn't think it's about racism. It doesn't think it's about race. He thinks that she's always making everything about race. And she's just like, you don't get it because you didn't grow up Black. You know what I mean? So you don't understand the way I'm viewing
questions and all these things.
Yeah. So it's like, there's just so many reasons. And like people, and also too, the book talks about the economic aspects of Black men, right? So there's a success gap. Okay. Third reason why Black women confront a shortage of men is that Black men lag behind them both educationally and professionally. Black girls outperform their male counterparts as early as elementary school. By high school, the boys' failures become glaring. Consider these facts. Nationwide, fewer than half of all Black boys graduate from high school, a figure that sinks to 25% in the state of New York, one of the most populous in the nation. The result is that Black women vastly outnumber Black men in college, where there are more than 1,400,000 Black women, but fewer than 900,000 Black men. Not only do more Black women enter college, they outperform the men once they get there. Nationwide, Black women have surpassed their male counterparts, even in typically male-dominant and often lucrative fields such as computer science. Each year, Black women earn twice as many bachelor's degrees as Black men. At historically Black colleges renowned for their successful African Americans, fewer than a third of Black male students graduate within 6 years. So this just to let you know too is that like the problem is if a lot of college-educated Black women want to college-educated Black math, the math is just not mathing. Physically, there's more educated Black women than Black men. So what you do?
Written? When was it?
What year? Let me see.
I feel like a lot of those. I've never looked for those numbers, so maybe that's why I feel like that's the numbers are a bit glaring. Like,
why like they're so glaring?
Why are they saying that in New York, 1 in 4 Black men graduate high school? New York, is it New York City?
Yeah, New York City.
Okay,
not all of New York City.
Okay.
What was the book written? How did I even pay attention to this? Copyright 2011.
Okay, so the book is about
It's a
12.
little- yeah, it's a little older, but I still think a lot of the stuff is still relevant because it's still the same issues that are happening right now. So to combat that issue, okay, it talks about how, you know, don't get it twisted. A lot of Black women do date men who are not as educated as them, right? So you have a lot of women who will hold out and stay single and say, I'd rather be by myself than to be with a guy who doesn't have as much as I have. But there are women who are realistic and they understand and they really want a Black man. So they're ready to deal with a guy who maybe didn't go to college or maybe is less educated. But also, the author talks about a lot of problems arise with that as well that people don't want to discuss. You know, he interviewed a couple where the woman went to school, her husband dropped out of only dropped out of college, and he didn't understand why she felt it was so important for their children to go to private school or focus on education. He wanted
It doesn't always, but it can relate into
it
value.
can relate sometimes into values, right? And that's what the author was saying, that like, you know, even though he encourages or he talks about, you know, women being open-minded, but at the same time, let's not make it seem like education can't affect a relationship.
Right.
It can, because most of the time education correlates to your worldview. No one is saying that education is the end all be all. You don't have to have the bachelor's.
2023, we know that with the way I just listened to a podcast to talk about how a few states in America are dropping bachelor degree requirements for state jobs.
Are you serious?
Like, you know, a lot of these state jobs make some good money, so they're dropping that bachelor's degree requirement. So it's really going to help like a lot of people like get into like fields. But I'm just bringing that up because it piggybacks off the idea that we know education is not, going to college is not the end all be all, because especially in 2023 we know how with social media and all that stuff how people are making money in so many different ways.
Right. You don't. But I would say personally, I would never deny, me personally, I would want all my children to go to college, especially my Black, if I have a son, my Black, because I just think that going to college, especially going away to college, gives you a different worldview. I don't think I would be the same person if I graduated high school, then went to start working as a secretary. You know, no, I'm not knocking secretaries. I've worked as a secretary, but I just feel like what I experienced, the type of people I met, I think
that even what you're going to make with that degree.
Yeah, I think it's like, as long as the degree is not like $100,000, I think it's even worth it, even if I get a basic degree. Yeah. That's not even going to be that lucrative, just because I think that experience, and I mean that experience, not even just going to school from home. I mean like getting away from your parents more. You know, America's a country where we're kind of coddled. You know, you go to other countries and around the world, people go to boarding school.
From like 12 years old.
They mature, they develop, they get their independence. In America, if you don't go away from college, when are you going to grow up? When are you going to live alone? When are you going to grocery shop? You get what I'm saying? Like, so to me, college is so much more than just the degree. And I think a lot of people focus on, oh, it's a waste of money. Go to community college, stay at home, save your money. And I just feel like all those fanatics online kind of get on my nerves, because especially as a Black person, I feel like college is even more important, because like the way the system is, the way America is, it's hard to get that type of exposure as a Black person if you don't go to college.
Day-to-day life, just going out of your way to get it.
And certain opportunities, you know, if being Black, you know, you to even get certain respect and be taken serious, you need a degree to back you up. That's the truth, you know, for people to even take you serious. So the book talks about that, about like, you know, Black women are the women that date down the most. So when you see these videos going viral online, it's about, oh, Black women want a man that makes 6 figures. It's kind of funny because it's like,
they don't want to live normal lives.
It's like you said, those are the extremes. And usually those women that want that are like, it's not the average woman. Like, and every woman may want that, but does she get that?
Is that like a deal breaker?
Right. Like, of course, every woman that may be ideal. But the book has a lot of examples of women who have, he names movies, you know, I don't know a lot of these movies. I'm not a movie person, talking about like this high profile. So Gabrielle Union played this high profile person. She ended up with like the barber, or was he like a post office worker, something like that, you know? And basically a lot of these movies try to drive the narrative that like, you know, a lot of Black women are single because they're looking past these men that could be good husbands. They're looking past the bus driver.
Narrative, and I'm not saying
they're looking past the postal worker.
But I feel like it's kind of it is annoying, because it's like there's people who have dated and just haven't found their person.
Right.
Because like I feel like when you see a woman, especially at a certain age, and she's single, a Black woman especially, the narrative is like almost driven to like she is the problem. Like she's too pretty, she's this, she's that, she's this. And it's like that can be for some people, but a lot of times it's really not. It's just like you haven't met somebody. But you know,
you could be part of the problem, as far as he's talking about. Maybe you're being too loyal to the Black race. Maybe you're segregating your life too much. Maybe you're not being as open-minded. Like, so you are part of the problem, right?
Yeah.
Because these are things that you can try and do to give yourself better
Because
outcomes.
because technically you live in a segregated life is also you being picky.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's you being limiting. So the fourth chapter is called the market, and he says, "Here's an email I received from a friend. 5 rules for men to follow for a happy life. Number one, it's important to have a woman who helps at home, cooks from time to time, cleans up, and has a job. Number two, it's important to have a woman who makes you laugh. Number three, it's important to have a woman you can trust and who doesn't lie to you. Number four, it's important to have a woman who's good in bed and who likes to be with you. Number five, and it is very, very important that these four women do not know each other." So, so the joke is that like it's hard to get all these women, all of this in one woman. So it talks about man sharing. Another reason why a lot of black women are single.
But we know how that went.
A lot of
The
women have accepted the
couple of
fact
men
that if
told
they
women
want,
to share.
a lot of women have accepted the fact subconsciously that if they want a certain quality of man, that to be one of many, and they have to be okay with that. So subconsciously, a lot of women haven't accepted that they're okay, but they've accepted it because they're entertaining.
Based on their actions, based on the way they're operating in the world.
Yeah, so it says why women accept it, but why do women want to marry or stay with it, or why? But why do women want to marry, stay with a man who doesn't? Here, as elsewhere, the market holds the key. As men become scarcer, they become better able to dictate the terms of relationships. And black women are not the only ones confronting the market in which men are in short supply. Consider the women students at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. A 2009 New York Times investigation of the changing culture of interrelationships at the school begins. Another ladies' night, not by choice. At UNC, as at many schools, men are becoming scarce. The numbers and balances make it hard for women to find a man and shapes what women do once they do. Girls feel pressure to do more than they're comfortable with to lock it down, one woman notes. As a relationship progresses, women feel pressure to overlook indiscretions to keep a man. As for a man's cheating, that's the thing the girls let slide because you have to. One female student explains, if you don't let it slide, you don't have a boyfriend. So it's interesting that even like growing up, you see this too. It's like either you're the extreme that's like, I'm better off alone. Let me watch my TV, stay by myself. You know, these men are not worth it. Or you see women in situationships. You know, you see women in and dealing with a guy to stay in the relationship.
Relationships.
Oh, like or like even the woman will say she's in a relationship, but she's really in a situationship. You know, maybe he's giving her the title.
Relationship.
Yes, he's giving her the title. Homeboy could be in another relationship. He could be married. He could be talking to multiple people, but he's telling the girl one thing to keep her satisfied and to hush her.
And that's what also kind of annoys me when people say, "Oh, black women don't go to college looking to get married." That's not, you know. I mean, think about our former friend group. How many of these girls are like, if those guys they were dating would have proposed to them in college, they would have all said yes. Like hands down, they would have said yes. But the guys,
to be fair, a lot of the girls I know, even from New Jersey, who got married in their 20s, it's men that they met in college.
they met, but did they get married in college?
No, they didn't get married. They dated for a long time, on and off.
Yes,
But it is men, so it still makes a point that like even I met one of my subscribers in the gym about 2 weeks ago is that they still met them in college. They still met them in school. It doesn't matter when they got married. It doesn't matter if they got married 7 years later, even they met them then. So they still like met. Like I don't get it. They still have an advantage of the fact that they met someone before they got into all the craziness.
They still went into college with the mindset like I can meet my husband even if I don't marry him. Even if I don't marry him in college, I can meet my husband here.
Yes, I'm telling you, most of the black women I see, successful black women, college educated black women who got married before 30, they met the guy when they were very young. They didn't meet him at 28 and get married at 29. They didn't meet him at 29 and get married at 30. So it makes sense. It kind of makes sense. And the subscriber I met a couple weeks ago, we're at the gym. She was like, when she was in college, one of her friends' mom was telling her, find a man, settle down, find someone, just be, and like they thought she was crazy. Like they would laugh at this friend's mom, like she's so dramatic. She's extreme.
You know, we're in the 2000s.
Like we're so young. And then she looks back and she's like, wow, my friend's mom, I see where she's coming from now. Because all these years later, she's the only friend of one of the few friends of their group who's married. Because she had a mother. Mom. Yeah, no, her friend.
Bring it in her ear, open your eyes, shine your eyes.
The importance of dating. You know, while some of us have mothers who said, go to school, just go to school.
And you see where they're coming from as well. Because let's be honest, you see a lot of girls who did date and they didn't necessarily marry those men. You see the toll they took on them emotionally. Let's be real. If you're trying to date, this is kind of like a sidebar. If you're trying to date, I don't care any age you are, you need to have a level of emotional maturity. Like relationships are not for kids.
People
They're
end
not.
up committing suicide because
Yeah, they're
of
not for like, this is a
heart-
series. They're not for clicks and giggles. Like it's not something you sit there and just do because I'm supposed to know. Like you need a certain level of emotional maturity. So I do understand why parents also do the opposite and tell their children don't worry. I'm not saying that they're right, but I understand them knowing what it can do to at that age and how immature you are, and if you could end up taking the wrong person seriously, and then kind of like mess you up. So I see it from both sides. We have some people join in. Hi
Hey,
everyone, join in, like the video.
make a fine wife before I graduate college. Yeah, find it. Just be serious, And when you're young, you have that advantage that you don't gotta rush. You don't have to be pressed. You don't have to say, "Oh, you have 6 months before I kick you out of the game. You have 3 months before I cut you off." As you get older, people become so serious. Like everything's like, "Oh, is he gonna marry? Is he marriage minded? Is he about marriage?" Like when you
Before you
young,
even know his last name, does he want to get married? Does he
is
want to do this?
does he have a girlfriend? Is he been married? He divorced? How many kids? It's just like getting older. It's just annoying. Kind of. I can't even imagine dating like past the age I am now. Like I can't.
Oh,
This
Jesus.
year, I proclaim in the name. This year is my last year.
Name of Amen. Hallelujah.
My birthday, November 25th. Your girl, because people around me been clowning me because I've been
Yeah,
prophesizing.
people in this group that know what she's about to say, please.
I've been prophesizing over my life because the Bible says you just need faith of a mustard seed.
The
And I
Bible
need so
says
much more of that. Then what is a mustard seed?
Bible says that the power of life and death
It's in the tongue. Yes, you better preach. Like y'all don't understand. Like this is my last. The streets. There's nothing out like this. I don't know why people are glorifying. I think social media. I think if Instagram just got deleted, people go get married.
Okay, let's say we say again, because we have to think about what gets glorified, what gets the hype is the extremes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so think about being in the streets, right? Everyone, a little bit sidebar.
The streets are not fun
because of your personality,
right?
But people in the streets, trust me, there's people in the streets. They're having the time of their life. It just depends on the type of person, on what you're about and what you're willing to do. All right, if you're that type of one person at a time, there's too many diseases in this world. Like a respectful person, you're not going to enjoy the streets. But people in the streets, they're getting wined and dine Monday, Wednesday, Friday. This way they getting vacations, they getting this, they getting that.
It's not even 1% of the streets. That's lies.
Even like vacations is extreme, but even if it's just some people are hungry, they just need someone to buy them food. You know what I mean?
Are they even getting that?
No. Like you said, the power and like you said, proclamations. I'm saying you may not know people getting that personally, but trust me, people are doing it.
Okay. So next chapter I really liked was called Power Wives. So it's kind of talking about the
Power Wives,
about showing examples of many Black women who dated a man who made less than them, dated a man who's less educated than them, in like a lot of situations where it just didn't work. So it's not that Black women are not doing it. This narrative that's going around like, oh, all these women want a rich man, they want a 6-figure man. That's why they're not settling down. That's just not true, So.
But does he use? I'm curious. Sorry to cut you off. Does he use the term dating down? Because I know that term is like a little controversial, and I can understand why. It's a bit condescending. But I'm just curious if he actually uses that term, or if there's another way that he refers to like dating someone who is not in your who you're in a different financial situation than, or someone who you guys have different types of careers. I'm just curious. If you don't know, that's fine.
He said degree holding Black wives put the education to use. I don't know if he uses dating down. Blue collar. He calls it the blue collar brother. Blue collar brother. Just talks example of this girl Cecilia marries a guy named Daryl. She's a lawyer. Daryl is a construction worker, and it just ended up not working. She made most of the money. At first everything was okay, but it just didn't work out. And, and it's because they just didn't have a lot of the same values. It wasn't that she thought she was better than him, or just sometimes, even in some situations, I don't know if it was this one or another one, like simple things she would try to tell him. He would feel like, oh, is it because you're more educated than me? Or is it because you have more money than me? Like, it would be like to his ego. And she literally would say, like, that's not how she's coming at him. Like, she's literally saying, like, yo, like when you drive the car, fill up the gas tank. You get what I'm saying? Like, you just drove the car, don't bring it back empty. Like little things like that. But he would take it. it was just very, very interesting. So it just talks about how this happens over and over, 3 children and 5 years after saying I do, they divorce. Okay. From early on, they had conflicts about a common source of marital disagreement, money. Daryl relocated to New York. It took him about a year to find work. She had to take over the responsibility. She had to pay most of the bills. He was uncomfortable living off of me. It came to a point where I said, if you're this unhappy being unemployed, go get a job doing whatever. Stop being so picky and get a damn job. Eventually he did, but steady income didn't solve the problem. After he found work, Cecilia explains the dynamic shifted from I don't have a job to I'm not making anywhere near your income, so I still feel inadequate and inferior. So what did she supposed to do? Stop being a lawyer because her husband doesn't make enough money? So these are things that ego is real. Ego is real. And let's be real, certain races, ego is worse.
Men in general have ego.
In general, but in certain
cultures, they're expected to do certain things as a provider.
Yes,
so if they're able to do it, is more of an ego kill. It's more like an ego buster. I get it.
Cecilia recalls that he felt less than a man because my income ran the household. Okay. They fought about money, given her ample income. The problem wasn't a lack of funds as much as who would control it. Cecilia says she didn't want to take advantage of the fact that she accounted for most of his income. I didn't feel like I was lording it over him that I made more money, but they both know whose paycheck was bigger. Daryl wanted to consolidate their assets, but Cecilia resisted opening a joint bank account. She repeatedly delayed and deflected discussion of it, claiming that she didn't get around to opening the joint account because she couldn't find time to go to the bank. So basically she had to give him allowance kind of to ultimately set, she was one dictating the money. And let's be real, how many men are going to be comfortable with this?
Let's be real, it's not comfortable, it's just not. So I understand, yeah.
I think this is another reason this book talks about a fact that most men, as they make more money, the likelihood of them getting married increases. But for some reason, for Black men,
most men, as they make more money, the likelihood of them men overall.
Overall, as they make more money, they're more inclined and encouraged to get married. However, statistics have shown that for Black men, as they make more money, the likelihood of them getting married decreases. And it's just interesting, why do you think that? Because we even talk about that, why do we feel that sometimes the men that have it all together are saying that either they're struggling to settle down? Are they really struggling? You have everything. And you'll see some guys who are still don't have much going on and they're ready. And they're ready. You almost wonder, how can a guy who doesn't even have a job be ready to marry? But a guy who is doing well financially,
has houses, has this business, has this 6-figure job, has this car.
I think we can correlate everything we've talked about, that the market, the man, a man that's going to make more is going to have more options.
Yeah, especially
a Black man, that can lead to confusion. Right? You don't know who to pick. You don't know if it's even worth it. When you have so many women in your face ready to drop their pants, you don't have to marry them. What is the incentive of marriage? What is the incentive of marriage when you have so many beautiful, even educated women who are ready to have fun?
Something that you really truly want, something that's
core value. Even though sometimes I'm like, man, I dig it on my nerve, but I put myself in men's shoes, and I honestly sometimes say, if I was a man, what would be I think the only incentive would have to be my moral compass. It would have to just be that I don't believe in sleeping around. I think that's the only way as a man I would probably get married. But if I didn't have my
family, you want a nuclear family.
Yes, that's another thing. So this goes to the point, this book, what I thought was interesting is that I believe he's Black American. And I also thought a point that I would have loved this book to touch on is stats breaking down different cultures within Black people.
We probably don't have that data.
Yeah, because it would be too specific.
Maybe the next U.S. Census, because I think they're letting people choose what within the sub bracket of Black, how they identify.
I really want to know real down to is this really definitely it's a Black issue, but is it more a Black American issue versus a Black issue? Because a lot of these topics I can relate to still being first gen, but at the same time, I feel what gives me hope is just knowing that the culture I come from still values marriage. It's just that I know that people are going to do it later, but they still value it. Versus American culture in a whole, we can just admit that the value of marriage is declining.
Yeah,
that's the truth amongst all races, not just amongst Black America, not just amongst white America.
People look at the divorce rates and kind of use that as a reason why
they're less encouraged to settle down. Another thing that's a fear factor, men, especially also another reason why a lot of top earning men are probably more scared. They have more to lose. They have more assets. Are they going to now go and bring a prenup to a woman? A lot of women don't want to hear that. A lot of women are going to take that as an insult if you come to marry
If you think about it, if you marry a man who's doing well, I can understand a woman maybe feeling some type of way. Like, let's say she was dating this guy from high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like he goes to the league, he goes to this and that, and he's like, oh, prenup. I could see, even though I still think that he's right to do it, and I think that he's just making an educated decision.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand a woman feeling like, you think I'm here for it. But if you understand what a prenup is and what it is, protecting yourself, you know what I mean?
I think some women view it almost equivalent to a man asking for a paternity test. Like, I think it's that bad, even though I don't think it's.
Someone could say I'm saying this because I haven't been asked for a paternity test, but honestly, if I was, Nnena, you know me, I'm paranoid.
I didn't do nothing wrong. Why am I?
You know me, I'm paranoid as ever. So if I was a man, honestly, I would be asking for. I think it should even be a law that once a woman gives birth, they do a paternity test.
I think so too, definitely, because
it's automatic. I don't.
Kids that are not there.
It's crazy. Men don't even really know. They can never really verify who they. Like a woman always knows this is her child. She gave birth.
Yep.
But a man can't really ever know, like, is this my child? 100%. Like,
it's scary. It's scary.
Like, you know me. If I was hey, we would be offended. Sorry, we would be offended because I'd be asking them like, baby, I trust you, but we just have to make sure. We just have to
right. That girl slap you. Toby asked, would you guys feel some type of way if a guy wanted a prenup? Okay, I'm gonna feel away if he made 40,000 and he wanted a prenup. Yes, I'm gonna feel away.
No, because he can make 30K and still have a lot of stuff that he wants to protect. I
guess, but I think I'll feel more.
It's about what's in the nature of the prenup. That's what's gonna make me feel some type of way. If you say, "Oh, tomorrow something happens and you're gonna give me 2%," yeah, I'm gonna feel a certain type of way. It's about the nature of the prenup.
You don't think how much money he makes is a factor?
No, because why do you care? If he makes less, you shouldn't be better.
If you're dating a millionaire, I think you would expect to sign a prenup. Do you get what I'm saying?
At the same time, if you're worried about, he doesn't make enough, why do you care that he wants a prenup? Fine, let's sign it with your 40K. Who cares? Like, why is it at the same time? I feel like it should even not even annoy you. It should annoy you less because he's just doing it just to do it. Like I said, because prenup is not necessarily just salary. It's your benefits. It's your savings. It's your assets. Like you're just looking at salary, but you can't assume because someone doesn't make that much that they don't have a lot to lose.
Right,
people get houses. People get a house from their grandmother. They get a property from their mother. They get property. They get this acre of land. They get this. Like they may be making that 40K, which is the average salary, 45K, but they still have a lot of assets. Right. They still have a lot to lose. So
that's a good point. So I talked about Cecilia and Darryl. That's the lawyer and the construction worker. So
that's
to wrap it up,
Power Wives.
Yeah. Still in Power Wives. Another one. Not all men married to high-earning wives share Darryl's feelings of inadequacy, and not all women start off wanting to control the money as Cecilia did. When Carla, human resource manager in Atlanta, married the man she loved, she earned nearly twice what he did. Neither had a problem with that. The more money she made, in fact, the happier he became. Yet only months into their marriage, problems emerged. The source of the recurring conflict: gas in the car. Carla's husband had totaled his car and was driving hers. Though it meant that she sometimes had to catch rides with coworkers, the arrangement was one she could live with, until she explains, he brought my car back on empty. She had planned to drive it to the gym one Saturday morning and could barely make it to the gas station. He told her he had just forgotten to gas up. His car got better mileage than hers, and he hadn't adjusted. He said to her car's need for more frequent refueling. For Carla, this wasn't just about the gas. It's not about you bringing back my car empty, she told her husband. It's about you looking out, making sure that I'm taken care of. So she just felt as if, it's a principle because she made more, he just didn't feel like he needed to do certain things. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, okay, my wife makes good money. She makes double of my salary. I don't need to really do these things for her because she can do it on her own. Versus her parents' generation, she scarcely recalled her mother ever having to put gas in her car. Dad took care of that. Carla didn't expect her husband to do everything for her that her dad did for her mom, but still, gas in the tank, it was a small thing. If he was going to use her car, he should make sure that an empty tank didn't leave her stranded. Over the following weeks, it became apparent to Carla that her husband wasn't simply forgetting to refuel the car, and he eventually confirmed her suspicions. I never bring up the fact that you make more money than me, he told her, but the fact is, I don't have enough money for gas. You pay for it. So, it sounds like people say like, oh, is this a joke? But these are things that really, really happen. So this narrative that like all Black women are looking for a rich man, that's why they're single, that's really, really bogus. And because he said pay for that gas. So it talks about mixed marriages. That's another chapter. One of the last chapters I'm going to talk about. Cecilia and Darrow's conflicts about money went beyond their struggle with gender roles, which it's a big issue. What divided them became apparent to Cecilia in retrospect. Absolutely different values. Absolutely different values. Cecilia was the lawyer. Darrow was a construction worker. Okay, they had different values. Not saying everyone with a mixed marriage. That's the term we use, is mixed marriage. So not dating down, a mixed marriage. When like one person is a professional, the other person is yeah, it's called a mixed marriage. So she's saying it's not necessarily about gender roles, about who's a man, it's just their values, and it's just, and this talks about conflicts over values arise in many marriages, but they may be especially pronounced when the partners have attained starkly different levels of education. So one of my only non-Black friends, she's Asian, and I remember when we were in nursing school, she said she could not marry a man with a bachelor's degree. And we used to go back and forth, have an argument like, why? Like, bachelor's degree, most of them don't even make money. Like, what is a bachelor's degree, especially if he has in a certain field? Like, it's not going to do much for him. Why does he have to have a bachelor's degree? And it kind of points to like what this is talking about, because
you equated both of them having a bachelor's degree to both of them having similar values.
It's similar, and they will both have like the same. They would find some of the same things as being important. Because similar value, exactly, similar value. And I used to be like, what? Because I look at it now and I'm just like, I ask myself the realistic question. Like, I look at a lot of Black women around me that I know who are partnered, even our parents' generation who came from another country. A lot of the women are more educated than their husbands. Like, that's like, to be honest, like, we really want to sit down. Like, a lot of women who I know who are in relationships are married, they have more education. Even if they don't necessarily have more education, they make more money. Maybe the husband does have like a master's, but he wasn't able to come to this country and translate it. Or he has like a PhD, but he's not making money with it.
Not working with that PhD.
Right. He has a degree, but he's not necessarily like what we would say. Like,
that may honestly be a reason why stats are so skewed, because in terms of specifically to the Black community, because people like to equate degrees with salary, but we know that's not true. So you could be with someone that has a higher degree than you, but you're making more than them.
Right. And women have a lot of careers have emerged, like let's say like nursing, that a lot of women can do and make an ample salary. But do men really have a job like nursing?
Men
in 4 years, work overtime. You get what I'm saying? Like, do men really have the equivalent of a career like nursing that women do?
Those both ways. At the same time, how people make the argument that there isn't, for people to have the argument that there's not necessarily a gender gap between women and men, that the difference in pay comes with the nature of work, right? So right now, NBA, WNBA, nowhere next to pay equity. The jobs, athletes, people that are really high earners, there's certain jobs that just women don't do, or they just can't do. And those jobs usually tend to be higher paying, right? For example, like a carpenter, an electrician, a woman could technically be an electrician, but I've never seen a female electrician. Right. You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like it kind of goes the same way we talk about nursing being like a female dominated career. There are a lot of male dominated careers that are very high earning.
Okay. So to finish up, I'm going to talk about Cecilia and Darrow real quick. Then I'm going to go to interracial. So Cecilia presumed Darrow hadn't finished college due to obstacles beyond his control, trouble with financial aid, a professor who didn't like him. Only later, after their marriage ended, did she realize her husband hadn't finished college because he didn't want to. It just wasn't important to him. He didn't value education as much as she did. And because he never fully invested himself in a college experience, it didn't broaden his perspective and shape his life goals the way college has.
Because you can go to college and college can go through you. And and you don't even come out with this experience that we talk about because you're not interested in getting that experience.
Their different values became apparent in those disagreements about how to spend money. He wanted me to display my income in a way that was uncomfortable to me, Cecilia recalls. He couldn't have the wife who went to Columbia Law School and who was partnered at a law firm without having some stuff to show for it. He wanted her to buy a Mercedes. He didn't share her priorities to put the children in private school, pay the mortgage, fund a retirement account, because you couldn't show those things, she explains. You can't drive those things around town and have everybody see them. Eventually, she relented and bought an Acura as a concession. So this, like, even though she had the money, it seemed like she wasn't really the flashy type, but he wanted to say, like, yeah, my wife's a lawyer. He wanted people to see that she was a lawyer, okay? Not just to hear that she was a lawyer. So besides the mixed marriage, I thought that was a very interesting chapter. The other there's a few other chapters beyond race. Okay, we're not going to talk about that because this book is pretty long. That's a desire. A desire is a big one. Why a lot of Black women don't date outside their race, because Black women are less willing than Black men to enter an interracial relationship. And Black women are the ones most likely to say they want a Black man, and a lot of them just feel like other races don't want them. They just feel like, the dating polls, the dating studies, most people online, let's be real, people prefer their own race when they go on a dating app. But just because someone prefers their own race doesn't mean they won't date someone else. They just put it as their preference. So a lot of Black women don't even think, that a man of another race will like them, and what's killing this book talks about a lot of Black women is the swag. The single syllable answer I got from many women that was ineffable. Quality more easily felt than defiant swag. Women know it when they see it. Will Smith has swag, Brad Pitt does not. LeBron James has swag, Tom Brady does not. But
swag to me, I don't know what you're talking about.
But swag is not limited to athletes and entertainers. Barack Obama has swag, George Bush does not. Although unquestionably associated with race, swag is not strictly speaking limited to Black men or possessed by all Black men. Bill Clinton has swag. But according to some women, at least, Denzel Washington does not, unless he is in Training Day. That's a movie he was in. So they said that's what's killing a lot of Black women too, is that like they want the swag. This might be what Ngozi talks about something. Brady's wife was a model. LOL, he has swag. Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about, but
what they talking about?
They're talking about like, I don't know how to explain it. Like a lot of Black women, like how they talk about how
maybe talk about what a Black woman would consider swag in terms of swagger. Like I would
hold on, the book is gonna define it. While swag may seem to come naturally to Black men, to white men it does not. One woman in Nnena describes a common look among young white men: Dockers or khaki shorts, colored polo shirt, Oakley sunglasses. A woman calls it frat boy look and acknowledges that such a look may count as white guy swagger, but it didn't do it for her.
That's what I'm saying. So it's not so for they talking to what a Black woman on average would think swag is, but you can't say he don't.
Hold on. What then is swag? Many women associated with confidence, brashness, bravado, charisma. Swag, women emphasize, may begin with appearance, but is a matter of style and demeanor as well. So remind me exactly of because saying that this is what y'all want. That's what y'all girls want. It's like it's an aura. I can relate with this. Like swag is an aura, and people always feel like it means you want a bad boy. You can have swag and be a good guy.
What is the let's be real, have the guy with the swag. Okay? Those guys with the trend, they be bad boys.
Yeah.
Most times. So y'all girls like bad boys. Admit it. Take the L. Admit it.
Yeah, like swag. They said a man with swag leads rather than follows. Like, and that's what a lot of guys say. Girls don't like good guys. It's not like girls don't like good guys. Women want a masculine man. Women want to, like, a lot of men will say, "Oh, women are so we want more feminine women." But I can't be a feminine woman if the man is feminine. Right. I can't be a feminine woman if to be really in my feminine, I have to be with a man who is masculine. Do you get what I'm saying? I think when we think of swag, that's kind of what we're thinking of. A guy's gonna take control. The guy's gonna not abuse you or necessarily be mean to you, but like he's assertive, he's aggressive, he walks in a room, he demands attention, he's put together. Hopefully he's a little stylish, he's confident, he walks in with his head up, he come up to you and say, "Hey girl, I know you 6'2", but what's up? What's your name?" You get what I'm saying? He's not scared. Like he's not.
Let me add some humor to this line. Let me tell you what some guy came to me yesterday and said. Okay, so I was sitting there waiting for her. He's like, "Your hand." And I was just so confused. I'm waiting like outside the bathroom. This guy's like, your hand. Oh my God, what's wrong with it? And I'm just looking at myself. I'm just like, yo, like, what's going on? Like, I don't know. What are you talking about? He's like, it's empty. And I'm like, and I still didn't get it. So he was talking about it's empty, like I don't have a ring on my hand.
You're not married.
I'm just like, yo, like, is this a new pickup line or something? Because I've never heard something like that again. But you had mentioned how about the confidence, about being able to go up to a woman and say even weird, crazy things like that. I guess some people would term that as swag.
You have that confidence, like you're not scared of rejection. You're not sitting around staring at a woman all night, but then you go home and just maybe look at her pictures online and never say anything. Like, who wants that? You know what I mean? Like, and that's why I feel like those guys get a lot of attention because a lot of women want a man to come up to them. They want a man that's confident, but the issue is that that same man coming up to you is going up to 20 other girls. That's the
Like the other
problem.
one last night. We caught him slipping, going to up to another girl. And he can't. Like it was so
It's
hilarious.
just so sloppy these days. These men are
These
so
guys that want to come up
sloppy.
to and act like they're so special. The men who are that confident or have that swag, they're doing it to multiple chicks.
Mhm.
You're not the only one, so swag can be overrated, chicks. That's the moral of the story. But continue.
Another chapter is fear. Okay, so a lot of women, um, they stay. So basically, Cecilia, the same one before she met Daryl, that was a Columbia lawyer that met the construction worker, didn't work out, ended up getting divorced. She actually had met a white guy before Daryl. Okay, and
What happened?
he was getting really into her. So he said, "What does relationship mean? Where is it going?" He said, "I don't want to just have sex. I want to be a couple." This sounds like what girls say. Okay, this is what the white guy told her. She said, "I'm not interested in being a couple. Sex, hanging out, fun, that's all this can be." So you always think of that narrative as that the man is going to say that. She was the woman. And the problem was he was white. And Cecilia couldn't imagine bringing some white dude to Detroit to sit up in my parents' house. She even told him, "I'm not bringing you home to meet my mama." So basically, she can't say she never met someone who's really into her, who she actually liked. But the problem, the biggest barrier, her friend asked her what happened. She said, "He tried to get all serious on me, had to let that go." So like literally, like it's crazy when you hear like
I can't. You know why my mouth to drop, because I literally think of people that I know who would say something like that.
y'all need to read this book. It's Marriage for White People, not sponsored. We're gonna put the link in when we release the live. We're gonna have to edit it, so we're not gonna release this live probably till later on this week because I have to edit the beginning. It's just crazy. So some of the reasons why there's the fear. Will his family accept me? Okay. Can he come to dinner? Will my family accept him? The exotic adventure. Am I just a fetish? Will he understand? Does he get the problem about things that Black people go through? Does he understand what we go through? Does he understand about the Black race? Does he understand what racism is? Or is he going to think that everything I say is about I'm in my head? What about children? Are my children going to be confused about who they are? Are they going to grow up in a world that tells them you're not Black enough, but you're also not white enough, and they're always going to feel like an outsider? And I could say this: the book talks about. I grew up with a friend from when we lived in the burbs, and I always remember like both her parents were very light skinned, light eyes, like racial, like they look like they can pass. And growing up, she always would say she was Black, and people would be telling her like, "Yo, you're mixed with something. What else are you?" Like, and she's like, "I am Black." Like, she wanted so bad to be Black like everyone else, but like we all just could look at her and be like, "Girl, you're not Black.
The father could pass as a white man.
You're not Black." Like, even the way he used to answer the phone, he sounded like a white guy. You know what I'm saying? So so just seeing what she used to have to go through was annoying. I felt for her. It's like, why does she have to go around explaining to everyone her Blackness?
Proving her Blackness. If she identifies as Black and her family identifies as Black, she has a sister who is darker than me.
Right. She's Black.
At least who is darker than me. So why does she have to sit there and prove her Blackness? So
the last point is assimilation anxiety. Black women also worry about whether biracial children would help to perpetuate Black culture. So kind of feeling like so ultimately the chapter ends. To be honest, y'all, I just finished this book today, right before this live started. That's just how I do. But the last chapter is Saving Black Marriage. What are things that could do to save Black marriage? Gives an example of a couple. Basically just talks about Black and white couples, mostly with the guy being Black, the guy being white, the woman being Black. Basically just talking about even if you guys are not the same race, what's going to be important? You guys have the same values. So it's going to be more important if you guys are not the same race. Okay, maybe you guys are both very religious, devout Christians. Mm-hmm. That's going to still bring you together and it can help overshadow the fact that you guys have a different race.
Yeah, but you can't have all these differences.
Yeah, if you guys are not going to have the same race, basically to sum it up, it says that if you guys have the same core values, you can still make it through. Like an example I thought was very interesting of a Black woman, Teresa. She had 2 kids, 2 different fathers, ended up with a white guy. She was an interior designer, went to his house. He fell for her. They started dating. He had to come pick her up on a date, came to her doorstep, got confronted by 4 Black men. 2 of them were her son, 2 of them were his friends. He said he was not going to lie. He was scared. He felt like he was in the wrong environment. It was just very different for him. It wasn't that he didn't like her, but it's just, he wasn't used to that environment, but ultimately ended up working because they just had a lot in common. They were able to see past their race. Okay. So I just thought this was a good book. I just wanted to come in here and talk about it just because I've just told so many people and I'm always referencing it like, oh yeah, in this book I read, it talks about this, talks about that, and I just think it's very balanced. Like it talks about things that women can do, talks about reality that like marriage is declining for everyone, even for Black men. It's not just a Black woman issue. It's not saying that Black women are the only people having this problem. It just affects us more than other races, especially college educated Black women, because their issues that they're not getting married, they're not having children. Other women, they still may not get married, but at least they're having children. They're not waiting for their life to be married. If
Other Black women?
Yeah, it talks about like other socioeconomic, like most women who are like in the lower bracket of income,
They're usually less stuck on marriage.
Yeah, they still have those same issues, but at least a lot of are not necessarily unmarried and childless.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? At least they can say, I'm just unmarried.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? I still have a child or two. I'm still helping the race continue, even though, single motherhood, all that. We grew up with a single mother that has a lot of issues as well, like it's not easy, but at least they're just conquering one issue. Okay, I have my children already. Now I just need to get married. Versus a lot of college educated women are have the issue of I need to get married and I need to have children.
Right.
So also I just think it's a good book for everyone to read. I think it's very balanced, has a lot of statistics, so many. I was like, wow, this is very interesting.
What's the biggest takeaway?
Low key, the biggest take is that like I need to be more open-minded. And I know that because it's like not even necessarily being open-minded to like white, y'all know me, like not even just talk about just in general, even within Blackness, people are closed-minded. We have Black, like I'm gonna be real, like even just being Black, there's many groups, ethnic groups that like to stay to themselves. Them even dating a Black American is a big deal. Them dating a man that's not of their culture is a big, like I grew up with my culture. I don't know any woman who married a man who was not from our country. Mind you, I know men who married women who are not from our country.
Yeah.
So it's just common that most likely,
but they were more than the women.
Women, it's just common across the board. The book makes men are more open-minded. That's true. That's why you won't see so many men online complaining or saying, I can't find no one, I can't settle down. Men are just more open. They may have their preference, but if they meet someone out their preference who they like, they're gonna give it a chance. Yeah, but a lot of women, look at what Cecilia did. Cecilia had homeboy say, I want to be with you. I'm tired of just having fun. I'm tired of just
the color is his skin.
She said he was getting too serious on me. I had to let that go. What? Then you end up with Daryl. He's Black, but then you guys don't last. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, are you going to be so stuck on the color, the culture, the ethnicity of this guy that you're going to let someone else? But it's different if you're not meeting the other people. Like, I personally never had a white guy approach me and try to take me on a date. But at the same time, I'm also not looking for them. I don't go online and make them my preference. Maybe because when I was on Bumble back in the day, like they was coming for me, but I didn't even look at them as a viable option. I didn't even look at them as like, oh, I can, I'm gonna be real. I could relate to this book in so many ways. I didn't even look at them like, oh, I can date a white guy. I'm like, what am I doing with a white guy? I'm just keeping it 100, because that's the way I've been conditioned. Even how do you want to keep it more real? Like even dating an American is a big deal for me. I've never, like, you know what I mean? Just because I've been grown up in such like an isolated, like kind of viewpoint of world, just feeling like,
I always thought they wouldn't even like me, to be honest. Until I went to college, I was like, I don't know.
Last year, I tried to pull a fast on my therapist, and I was like, Black American don't like check Nnena, stop. They gonna like you. You tall, you pretty. Don't even go there.
I'm saying I thought this as like a high schooler, like, oh, like I don't think.
To be honest, they weren't really checking for us when we were young.
I just thought when I went to college, I was like, damn, like men don't care ethnicity. They don't care about all that stuff.
They don't care that you have. Like, no, you cute. Men are so open-minded. You cute, you cute.
That's true. Men are very open-minded.
Men are so open. It's us women that have so many rules and have so many barriers and have so many. I've even had guys tell me, like, I was talking to this Liberian guy. He was like, oh, my cousin said you won't ever take me serious because I'm not Nigerian. I'm like, what? Mind you, no, but it had nothing to do with that. He wasn't Nigerian though. Like, trust me, if he was the same person who's Nigerian, we still know it was his personality on his live. Him being Liberian didn't help, okay? But it wasn't. It was more than just that, though. I think even if he was Nigerian and he was the same person, it wouldn't make a difference. Or I've had a guy tell me he was of a different Nigerian tribe, right? He was Edo, and he just couldn't accept the fact that I don't like him, or he did something really, really crazy. I mean, gosh, one day I'll reveal this testimony, but I just cut him off. instead of him taking accountability of what he did to me, he says, "Oh, it's because I'm not evil." I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about right now? Like the people on this live that know me know, like I don't discriminate. Like I could fall in love with any like my
Each tribe of one country. That's being open-minded. Oh wow, you're so open-minded. Oh wow.
so open-minded. Okay,
Wow.
this live has been about an hour. You know,
Anyone have any questions? You could drop it real quick. We're trying to end in the next few minutes. We don't want to make this too long, but thank you all. You know, we were supposed to go live yesterday. We know Sunday usually works better, but it was Mother's Day.
next
Something came up, so don't worry. This Sunday we'll go live. People are gonna have to just watch the replay. We just wanted to get out some content for you all. We don't want to start skipping weeks because you know that ends up being a trend. So we just wanted to talk about this topic because it kind of ties into like our last video. If you haven't seen that, I'll pin that in our right down in the group. But it talked about Ebony K. Williams and the bus driver and how she got a lot of slack. And I think that this when Nnena mentioned this topic, I think is really related because
that's how I want to do this
video. She's a professional woman of a certain age. She's a lawyer, so I think that a lot of kind of what she says, a lot of professional women can relate to that. And that book talks about, the mixed marriages, and that a lawyer marrying a bus driver would definitely be a mixed marriage, So I think it's really interesting. But at the same time, I don't like you said, extremes seem to get a lot of the attention. But let's be real. And then you talk about your nursing professor who was like a nurse practitioner. Her husband was a manager at Popeyes. A lot of I can speak personally in my family, a lot of Black women are in mixed marriages. The media makes it seem as if we all want these men making $300,000. Yeah, a lot of women. I think the average woman would like it if it was an option.
We just want love.
I think the average woman would like the same, as the average man would like a beautiful.
Bring me the same man for $1 million or $100K. I'm gonna pick.
Of course, I'm gonna go for a million because I'm not a fool. My mother didn't raise a fool. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like I don't want this extreme narrative to come out like all women are just so money. Because, like you said, growing up, even till now, even the lady I buy my products from, like I know so many women who are in mixed marriages, Black women particularly, who are in mixed marriages.
If you really are loyal to one of the Black men, you kind of be prepared for that.
Like they're fine with it. They're not complaining. They're not crying, moaning, and like they're doing it. You know what I mean? So I don't want this narrative to seem as if we're just
act right. What does a mixed marriage, a six-figure marriage, a millionaire marriage like?
I said, number one is behavior. I say it all the time. Money is nice and it's great and everybody wants it, but money is not everything. We all know that.
Yeah, we know that.
The money is not everything. You could be a millionaire. You don't behave well. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like we're not gonna die with this money. Like it's not that serious. As long as you have enough to give yourself the basics, it's not because someone is a millionaire they can just do anything and it's okay. No, we're human beings, So I think that it's just sometimes we want to level down the conversations. Like we said, there's a lot of noise and a lot of extremes, and people see certain things and they just jump to conclusions and oh my God, Black women are so dense. I don't know, like no. Trust me, our mothers were in mixed marriages. Our aunts were in mixed marriages. Our women now are still in mixed marriages. They're getting married every day. We're going to see it even more now based on these statistics and these numbers. And many women are willing to do it happily. They're not even complaining. So let's not let these extreme voices overshadow the narrative. But thank you all so much for hanging with us Monday night. We appreciate it. We're going to edit it and have the replay on. But make sure you like this video, please. Everyone who is in here, I know some people have left, but please like this video. It really helps our channel. And make sure you engage, watch our other videos. You notice a lot of our lives have been getting a lot of views. I've noticed recently, I've been looking at stuff, so I know you guys are, even if you don't watch it now.
I realized we didn't post that we were switching it to Monday. That's the mistake.
I did edit it. I edited it.
Because I still see, hello, should we go live tomorrow, Sunday, May 14th evening?
No, you did that. That's a poll. I didn't poll. Then after when I edited it yesterday.
You just edited the time.
No, I edited from Sunday to Monday.
In StreamYard, right?
And on YouTube wall, I edited. Go look at the post. It's edited.
Let me see. In the community.
You see, edited.
Or we are going live 8 p.m. Monday. Okay.
So it could be a couple, maybe it's a little too early. I don't know if people
Monday's kind of early. I think Monday, if you go live, we gotta go live like 9-10.
Yeah, because people still making dinner and wrapping up. I know I just got in from my errands at like 6:45 Central. We started like at 7. So, but thank you so much for hanging in, and we'll see you all next time. Bye bye.